Welcome to the Steelers by the Lake podcast. My name is James Strong, joined once again by my co-host Cody Tanner. Cody, how are you on this Friday evening?
Fine, it's fine Friday. That's what it is. I'm doing all right, James. I'm doing okay. How are you, sir?
Man, I'm doing all right. Always better after a Steelers win.
Always better after Steelers, and always better after we get to spend time together. We got to spend time together for Christmas. It was a great time. James hosted us, and it was a good time. We enjoyed it. It was a splendid time, and Santa is here and gone, as they say. But Rudolph is here to stay. We'll get more on that in a little bit. Real quick, shout out to my sister for the shirt, Mina's Muscles. This is a shirt they made for my niece, Mina. So Mina's Muscles. I'm repping that shirt today. So excited to talk Steelers football. Steelers did get the win against the Bengals. We were unable to do a recap show as I was up north visiting family and James. So family, let's be real at this point. So it was a good time, but we are going to talk briefly about that. Mason performed well. People are blowing it up. The big thing for me is that's also a defense that Kenny just torched up a few weeks prior. So
Yep.
I'm like excited about it, but I'm also not going to overlook it or overthink it. It was the Bengals. We've already beat them twice now. So
we'll see. I think so. The big thing on this to me, first off, cheers to having you in town for the holidays, buddy. That was fantastic.
I don't have a drink. I have an empty drink. Cheers.
Don't know how this is going to be. Live reaction. Here we go. It's not skunked. We're good.
Okay.
Hell yeah. It's actually delicious.
That's been in my car for a few months.
Also, shout out to my grandpa. He's not around anymore. He passed away earlier this year. But my parents found this in his house.
Heck
Must have been he bought it for me and forgot it and just like stashed it away somewhere. But pretty epic. Now I have a Steelers jersey with my last name on it.
There we go.
I think we have to be excited because Mason played an excellent game, right? He hit deep balls that people haven't been hitting half the season. Kenny hit a couple, in the two appearances we had from Mitch, nothing from those.
Yep.
And as much as we know that the Bengals defense isn't that amazing, I would argue that the Cardinals and Patriots are worse defenses, and Mitch couldn't do a thing against them. So it's very clearly a big step in the right direction. Whether or not he's going to do it again this week, hey, man, we've got more of a tape of Mason playing for the Steelers than we do Mitch playing for the Steelers, and he's very up and down. He has some bad games to go with those good games. He just has to give us two more good games, and we got a chance of being in the playoffs, man. So cheers to Mason giving us his best game of his career when it mattered most for the Steelers in their season.
Yeah, and also, to clarify real fast, I'm not worried about Mason necessarily in comparison to Mitch. It's a matter of if we had Kenny. In my opinion, I want to know if we had Kenny, what would those games have looked like? So
yeah, I think if we had Kenny, the games versus the Cardinals and Patriots look a hell of a lot different.
Yep.
But regardless, just we'll give a couple shout outs to some players that were pretty significant in that last game. We had a heck of a performance from the new safety combination, right? Patrick Peterson and Eric Rowe with his first game playing for the Steelers.
Pick.
Patrick Peterson, first time playing safety, first time starting at safety. They both got a pick. Incredible job by those two guys. The secondary held up pretty well in that game for the most part. Also, big game from Miles Jack. First game back from retirement.
Yeah.
And he put up, dang near 10 tackles, I think it was, on the game. Not even playing in the whole game. Landon Roberts went out with a pec injury. Looks like he'll be missing at least this game versus the Seahawks coming up here.
Yep.
Don't know. It might be season ending. We'll see. The season's almost over, so it doesn't take a lot to be a season-ending injury at this point.
Yeah.
And then more nice performances from TJ and Alex as well. Alex Highsmith dropping back into coverage, getting himself an interception for the second time on the season.
Yep.
Also had a sack. TJ had a sack.
Great job with his coverage too. Like his eyes on and watching the quarterback was phenomenal.
Fluid.
How you textbook.
Yeah. It's crazy to me that our two best coverage linebackers are also our two best pass rushers, and they're the outside linebackers. But hey, whatever. At least they're really talented dudes, right?
Yep. Yeah, we'll take it.
Also, we got to give roses to George Pickens. One hell of a performance by George Pickens.
Yep.
Everybody criticizing him, talking about how childish he was and how he wasn't getting.
He's still a little childish. Let's not lie.
I mean, regardless of whether he is or not, he's extremely talented, and I think if you traded him away, you'd be absolutely crazy.
Listen, I saw him do the whole little. You guys are talking. I can't, and I was like, oh my Lanta, here we go. Oh my Lanta.
Well, and to be fair, I think people kind of overreacted from that play previously. I sent you a clip of it, and he blocked up until basically the last second when the camera came in frame. When you looked at the all-22, he drove his guy back like 10 yards.
Yes.
And then he stopped, and that's when Jaylen Warren happened to be coming in.
But you're taught from Little League, you play through the whistle. That's
okay. How much are we criticizing Deontay Johnson? He was doing that all man.
I'll criticize Deontay Johnson all day long. Don't get me started. But my point is, I want a Hines Ward back. I want someone who's going to block through the play. I want someone who's going to knock someone out, say, hey, they need help, and then go block somebody else.
I'm with you on that. So I think it lit a fire under him, and that's appropriate. That's what we need. Also, a fire under George Pickens is a dangerous, dangerous wide receiver.
Yeah, and I want to take a brief moment before we continue to preview this week's game and to say prayers out big time for Elijah Moore. I don't know if you saw that hit last night or not.
No.
Nasty, definitely a concussion, brain injury to some extent. He had a post-traumatic seizure on the field. Was very scary sight to see. Not your normal concussion, like hands up, but like he was like twitching and flailing a little bit after the fact. So prayers up to him for sure, and praying for a speedy recovery. There's a chance that could end his football career, depending on the severity of that injury. So, so prayers for him. Now we're going to talk about this game coming up because we're trying to keep our playoff hopes alive as we go into Seattle and the home of the 12th man and get to take on the Seattle Seahawks. So let's talk injuries first.
Injuries first. Buddy.
Yeah, I'll go over Steelers if you want to do. Well, Seattle's a big list. Seattle is a big list.
That's fine. That's fine, man.
Okay, Steelers.
Holy crap! It's like 20 dudes.
Yeah, kept going.
All right, let's go.
All right, so Steelers, real quick. Kenny Pickett already not getting the start. They already announced Mason Rudolph will get the start. Kenny has been limited all week so far, though, so that is progress in the right direction. Trenton Thompson, the safety, dealing with a neck injury, limited participation on Wednesday, full on Thursday. Honestly, there's a chance he still doesn't start, even if he comes back with the performance we got last week out of Pat Pete.
But good to go, probably.
Oh, yeah, probably good to go. Najee Harris didn't participate on Wednesday, limited yesterday with a knee injury. I expect him to be a go. Minka's probably not playing again with a knee injury. He didn't participate all week so far. Landon Roberts, same thing, probably not playing with a pectoral injury. And Isaac Siamalu, the guard, with a shoulder injury, didn't participate Wednesday, and then full participation yesterday. So there's a chance. Stop. I see you dancing your pecs. You need to stop.
So mostly a healthy report, other than obviously missing Minka Fitzpatrick and Landon Roberts. But you're a little less concerned going into the Seahawks game about the Minka injury after the performance from Eric Rowe and Patrick Peterson at safety. So excited to see that combination in action again, and maybe a little bit of solution for future years at that safety position. On to the Seahawks. Jamal Adams has a knee injury. He was limited Wednesday, and they're not sure if he's going to play or not. Linebacker Nick Bellore with a knee injury did not participate Wednesday, unspecified as to whether or not he'll play. Jake Bobo with a knee limited may play. Anthony Bradford, the guard, with an elbow injury, he was limited. Jordan Brooks, the linebacker, with an ankle, did not participate Wednesday. That's a bad sign for him, and he's a starting middle linebacker for them. Trey Brown, the cornerback, with a heel injury, full participant, expect him to play. Frank Clark, the linebacker, they were just resting him. No big deal there. Quadre Diggs, the free safety, also just getting a day of rest. Mario Edwards, the defensive end, a knee injury, who did not participate. That's a bad sign for him.
Yep.
Wide receiver Dwayne Eskridge with rib injury, didn't participate. Noah Fant, the tight end, knee injury, did not participate. Draymond Jones, the defensive end, a shoulder injury, did not participate. Guard Damian Lewis, we remember him from the draft a couple of years ago, the guard out of LSU. He has a neck injury, limited participant, probably going to play. Tyler Lockett, the wide receiver, just getting some rest. Abraham Lucas, the offensive tackle, a knee injury, full participant, expect him to go. Jason Peters, also offensive tackle, foot injury, did not participate. That'd be a little more questionable as to whether or not he's going to be able to go. Defensive end Jared Reed just getting a rest day. Also, Bobby Wagner getting a rest day. Wide receiver Jackson Smith and Jigma limited, but expect him to go. Kenneth Walker with an illness didn't participate Wednesday, but if it's just an illness, he'll probably play. Leonard Williams, the defensive end, full participant in practice, and Devin Witherspoon, the rookie corner, limited. Expect him to play as well. So a long laundry list, but only a couple of guys that I would think have a chance of being out.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun day because we are going to be playing against two of our former players who are going to be getting starts in this game by the name of Devin Bush and Artie Burns. We'll get to that here in a little bit. Actually, I mean, honestly, we'll get to it right now. Let's take a look at the roster. There's a ton of injuries listed that we've already talked about, but we'll go ahead and talk about the guys that are listed as starters and then, reference, these guys are injured. Offensive side of the ball, the man, the myth, the legend, Geno Smith listed as the starter. Drew Lock just a few weeks ago led them to a comeback victory against Denver, if I'm not mistaken, which was a big game for him. So awesome to see that. So both capable quarterbacks on leading a team. The fullback, Nick Bellore, running back, Kenneth Walker III, and then you have a list of names behind that as well. We might see a little bit of DJ Dallas on third downs and short distances. Wide receivers, you got DK Metcalf, the man, the myth, the legend, the beast of a man, DK Metcalf. Tyler Lockett, a very capable receiver as well. Then you got D. Eskridge and Jackson Smith Njigba, who we talked about a little bit. I feel like I might have briefly mentioned him in the draft process. We didn't talk wide receivers a whole lot.
And then a high-end wide out at Ohio State.
Yeah, and then you talk about that offensive line. Charles Cross, left tackle. Damian Lewis, left guard. Center Evan Brown. Right guard, Anthony Bradford. And right tackle, Abraham Lucas. So a list of guys there. Jason Peters. Is Jason Peters on IR?
I don't know. He was on the injury list, but they have him listed as the backup right tackle, which is odd. Also, the backup right guard.
Yeah, he's a big boy.
Yeah.
So there's a chance we see him. There's a chance. I thought he was on IR, but I could be wrong. I could be thinking of somebody else. James, you want to take a look? Well, let's talk about this offense first. What's scary here other than DK Metcalf?
Geno Smith at home. Geno Smith's home performances seem to be very good. As away, not so much. So with a home field advantage, better be on your P's and Q's or home field Geno might really tear you up. Also, Kenneth Walker been a real explosive guy as far as the running back position for Seattle. He's the reason that Connor Hayward lost his starting job at Michigan State. Kenneth Walker was the guy that transferred in, took over, and then Connor had to start playing some tight end and some other stuff.
Yep.
So that's what we're looking at with that guy. And as you said, obviously DK Metcalf going to be a handful. Sounds like Joey Porter Jr. is going to be shadowing him.
Yeah. Geno's had an impressive career in Seattle so far. Didn't play a whole lot his first year with them, and then his second year went 5-1 on it, touchdown to interception ratio, then 30-11, and this year so far, even with an injury being out a couple games, he's 17-9. So Geno is performing very well for them, and over 3,000 yards passing. So keep that in mind. Watch out for the deep balls, and I'm excited to see the secondary take a step up. I feel like last week was a massive step in the right direction. If we can continue on that trend, that would be fan-freaking-tastic. DK Metcalf, obviously a concern. Tyler Lockett, both capable receivers. Tyler Lockett, I think, is having like a sneaky good career, not just season.
Yeah. I feel like he's one of those dudes that's always going to have 80 catches, 1,000 yards, and 7 or 8 touchdowns like every year.
Yeah, I mean, by the end of the year, he could have 60 touchdowns on his career. And it only started in 2015. It's not even been 10 years yet. And I think he has he's been one of the safer receivers as far as injuries and stuff like that. So I think there's a chance he has a long career. So excited for that. Tyler Lockett's a good guy. I enjoy watching him play football. Defensive side of the ball, James, you want to go over this?
Absolutely, yeah. So on the defensive side, they run a 3-4 just like Pittsburgh. The nose tackle, Jaron Reed. Defensive ends, Leonard Williams and Draymond Jones. Outside linebackers, Darrell Taylor and Boye Mafe, if you remember him from the pre-draft process. He was a very explosive edge. Middle linebackers, Bobby Wagner and Jordan Brooks. Jordan Brooks was on that injured list. A lot of concerned that he won't be able to play. And if he does, Devin Bush expected to get the start in his stead. Cornerbacks, one outside corner is Devin Witherspoon. The other one, Tariq Woolen. And the rumor is that Artie Burns may get the start, with an injury to, we saw Devin Witherspoon on the injury list.
Yep.
Is Woolen out?
I believe so.
Maybe Tariq Woolen, maybe he's on the IR or something, and that's why they're expecting Artie Burns to start. But look for that to be quite a factor as well. Safety, they have 3 listed as starters, which is odd. You don't normally see that.
No.
But Julian Love, Quandre Diggs, and Jamal Adams all listed as starting safeties. I think Jamal Adams kind of plays a little bit of a hybrid middle linebacker / safety kind of role. Not as much of a coverage dude. Diggs was on their injury list. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah, Julian Love leading their team in interceptions with 4. And then you have their sack leader at 9 with Boye Mafe, Jaron Reed at 7 behind him. So, the defense is it's nothing like the, what they used to call it. What did they used to call it with Earl Thomas and all them?
Oh, the Legion of Boom.
Legion of Boom. Yeah, it's nothing like the Legion of Boom. Nowhere near.
Not even close.
But it's still a capable defense right now.
But now they got Tariq Woolen replacing Richard Sherman, another tall, long corner, so.
Yeah. With that being said, I think the big thing here, obviously Julian Love, Bobby Wagner, Jamal Adams, all big name guys you got to watch out for. Kobe Bryant, we talked about him. Devin, I'm just excited to see the Devin Bush and Artie Burns matchups because we know their weaknesses if we utilize it correctly. So excited to see what could potentially happen there. Hopefully we can do some things. Hopefully our fans show up, make some noise. You know what I'm saying? It's like dogs barking in the background. You know what I'm saying? Make some noise.
I know all about that. Know all about that.
So special teams for these guys: kicker Jason Myers, punter and holder Michael Dixon. Punt returner is going to be DJ Dallas, that 3rd string running back. And then kick returner is D. Eskridge, one of the wide receivers. And then Chris Stoll, the long snapper, because they matter too. So those guys are going to be the ones leading up that special teams unit. With that being said, James, you got to be hopeful, but it's hard.
Yeah.
After last week, you got to be hopeful, but looking at the 3 games prior, you're like, it's not Mitch.
Which team do we have?
It's not Mitch.
Yeah.
But was that what it was? Was it the fact that it wasn't Mitch, or was it because it was the Bengals defense that Kenny and Mason now have torched? Like, could Mitch have gone in there and torched them just as bad? You know what I mean?
Not a chance.
I know that, but I'm playing devil's advocate here. Okay, you gotta question it a little bit.
No, I think that the one thing that was straightened out in this last grouping of games is that next year's quarterback roster will look drastically different from what it is right now.
Yep.
There's absolutely no point in bringing Mason or Mitch Trubisky back next year, especially on that elevated wage that he has currently. He's not good enough to be your number 2 quarterback, and we know that definitively now. And you don't pay a number 3 what he's making. So expect him to be cut in the offseason, which will save some salary. And if Mason plays good again, maybe you go forward with Mason as your number 2 and you see how you can go on with that. I feel like there's a couple of puzzle pieces here that I'm real excited about now. Eric Rowe played pretty good.
Yep.
He's 31. You don't expect him to be a long-term solution anywhere. Patrick Peterson, with how he has been as a corner over the course of his career, elite corners have a habit of switching to safety and getting a few extra years at the end of their career. Rod Woodson did this and had a lot of success. There's been a couple other guys over time that have done this as well. Ronnie Lott. Ronnie was a corner, switched to safety. A lot of people remember him as a safety, not even as a corner. Rod Woodson, I think, had more picks as a safety than he did as a corner, and all kinds of Pro Bowl appearances as well. So if this is something that Patrick Peterson can do forward successfully, maybe we have that figured out. And if that's the case, man, that does make the draft a lot easier, because then you don't have to worry about drafting a safety. It's just, get yourself a corner, get yourself the middle linebacker, an offensive line, and don't worry about safety, because Pat could probably hold it down for a few years, man. So I'm really excited about that. I'm also optimistic about the play we got out of Miles Jack.
Yeah.
That was so desperately needed in a position that's just been a huge question mark and a rotating door with all these injuries all season long. He stepped in and played well and really kind of took command. I also in that game saw brief instances with Mark Robinson on the field directing traffic. And in previous games, he looked lost. This time I saw him standing in there and pointing things out and really looking like he knew exactly where he was supposed to be and playing faster because of it. So maybe there's some hope for Mark Robinson after all. I was starting to get really frustrated by his lack of good play on the field. I felt like he took a big step forward last week and really not a moment too late. Because if you wait any longer, they might not in the future seasons. You might not even be brought back to camp. So nice to see some progress there. Look for Pat Freiermuth to be a big part of this going into this upcoming week. They said that had a lot to do with what happened versus the Bengals in this most recent game is the Bengals overcorrected because when they went against them last time, Pat had 9 catches for 120 yards and absolutely torched the Bengals. So this last game, they were double and triple teaming Pat on a regular. And because of it, that left George Pickens one-on-one.
And that's what that's what we talked about in the off season, James. Let me clarify.
Yeah.
We talked about this before this. We knew how to run this offense before we even been running it. I'm just frustrated, man.
And honestly, as good as Mason played in this game, he still missed a couple deep balls that this could have been 350 plus yards and another
easily.
Touchdown, maybe 2, right?
He missed that one to Austin.
To Deontay.
Was it Deontay? It was Deontay.
Well, both of them were slot fades versus Mike Hilton, which is also something we've talked about that we saw with Mike Hilton. His biggest weakness was a lack of deep speed. So put a quick guy on him and send him deep. They did that twice, and Mason missed on both of those opportunities, but not by a ton. And I think with a little bit more repetition, he'll hit on those because he's got a pretty accurate deep ball, just as George Pickens. Man.
Yeah, right.
George ain't complaining about nothing after that game.
Yeah, so
best performance by a wide receiver since 2017 for the Steelers, by the way.
Yeah, crazy.
Antonio Brown in 2017, the last one to go.
So there's this is not what I wanted to do. Hang on, let me reset this. There's a New York Times posted a thing about how the Pittsburgh Steelers can still win the division. Which I don't think is accurate now.
Old, yeah.
I don't think it is.
Old. That's not possible.
Well, this was posted December 29th. It was posted today.
They're dumb because Pittsburgh can't get to 11 wins.
No, they can't. But looking at this right now, why does this have this set up? Hang on, I got to reset this.
That article is what we call clickbait, folks.
Yeah, right. But
Don't
no, I'm looking at it.
Stuff like that.
So Steelers right now have an 11% chance for the wild card. If we beat the Seahawks, we have a 25% chance to win the wild card. If we beat the Ravens, it's a 90% chance. We still have a lot of things that need to fall our way and stuff like that. That's all very possible. And 2 of the teams we need to lose, potentially one game, play each other in week 18.
Yes. I think it's Houston and the Colts play each other.
Colts and Texans.
So one of them will absolutely get that loss. Also, this week, and I hate to say it, but this is a go Ravens week, because if the Ravens win this week, they're probably going to rest their starters against Pittsburgh on that last game.
Yeah, the Ravens do play the Dolphins, and this is potentially fighting for the number 1 spot too.
They have everything on the line, man. They got to win this. But if they do, it's almost like they get a couple bye weeks instead of just one bye week because they don't need to win the game against Pittsburgh.
Nope. Now, don't get me wrong. They're not going to come out and try to lose by any means. But
why would you play your top dudes? I'd rest them.
Yeah.
I wouldn't play Lamar.
Well, we've lost to the backups against Baltimore before. Yeah. So let's be clear.
Honestly,
here.
Yeah, that's probably worse for us playing against their backup because we always beat Lamar. Lamar's never beat Pittsburgh in his history.
Yeah. So we got to keep an eye on that moving forward. But there's a lot of things that we can still get excited for with football still on the corner. So we'll enjoy it while it's here.
Devin Bush, attack Artie Burns. We know their weakness is better than expose them.
Yep. So with that being said, that is going to wrap up this episode. We normally do 3 keys to success. We're going to start that again next week. We just have a lot going on and time crunch. So Text us your 3 keys to success. We'd love to talk about that before the show next time as we talk about how we spanked the crap out of the Seahawks. So again, thank you guys so much for listening or watching. If you're on YouTube, be sure to like and follow on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Subscribe and ring the bell. It's free. And until next time, this is your host, James and Cody, signing off.
Peace.